There we go. I can't believe I did that again. That's because I was recording 2 Point Museum earlier. Hello, everybody. How are we doing today before we get started? Well, 29 Raptors, I'm glad that the new music isn't annoying, which is what some people said about the old music. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I've got a gin here because I have a feeling I need a gin for this stream, and yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. Let me just get some music turned on for us. There we go, lovely. Right, so things happened yesterday, obviously, as we all know, and I thought, instead of making a video on it, because frankly, I don't have time, because I'm in the middle of recording and editing a video on 2 Point Museum, and there's lots to do this week, and I don't have time to do a video on this. Plus, I don't really want to do a video, because I want to have more of a live conversation about this. So, I have a plan as well. Let me just get this plan up. I have written out a plan for this. This is how serious I'm taking today. I want to start today by, in best sort of murder mystery style, establishing the facts, because I think we're at risk, I think at the moment, sort of losing track of the facts. So I want to start by establishing what are the facts. And hello, Untamable King, glad to see you here. So, let's begin. Where does all of this start? And this does not start, in my opinion, with the release of Evolution 3. Actually, in my opinion, this all begins before that. And let's bring up the first... I even have pictures for today as well, so give me 1 second. For stream... I've lost the folder, there it is. So, all this situation starts here, with the release of Planet Coaster 2. This is where, really, this all starts. Planet Coaster 2's launch was very, very poor. It was launched in a poor state, it was launched missing content, it was launched full of bugs, full of problems, missing content. People weren't happy. People were then less happy when they launched a week 1 DLC that re-added cut Planet Coaster 1 content back into the game for a hefty price tag. And people were, putting it frankly, pissed. Like, they were really unhappy. That is the first step that led us on the road to yesterday. As a result of that Planet Coaster 2 launch being so poor, and it was poor, I don't think you can defend it in any way. Hello, Chad. How are you doing today? This resulted in the second step, which was the roadmap. They acknowledged that they had failed with the launch of Planet Coaster 2. They acknowledged they had made a mistake. They provided this roadmap, and they promised they would improve their communication. And this is very good. This roadmap is a great idea, and I believe at the time it led to a lot of us wondering, are they going to do this with Evolution 3? Because if they did do this with Evolution 3, this would be very good. That was step 2 on the road to yesterday. Step 3 came a little bit while later. Thank you in advance to Evo, who went and had a copy of this, because I did not have a copy of this. We then got this lovely chap, who is the CEO of Frontier, saying that they were going to do better with communication. They said it on their thing. Now, I do want to point out, he didn't say the whole company was going to do better. It was a very generalized statement. Just more communication. But, you know, they did make a statement in that regard. But I think what he was really talking about there was the Planet Coaster 2 roadmap. Yeah, I do agree, Lord Bumblebee. We'll get to talking about what Frontier has done. I want to get all the sort of the evidence out first, so we're all at the same level. The next important aspect to the whole situation, in my opinion, was the... Again, thank you to Evo. The roster. When we finally got the entire Evolution 3 roster, and I think we can all say we were all a little bit unhappy. I don't think anyone was 100% truly happy with the roster. We were pretty critical of why a lot of animals that were really, really good animals had been cut out of the game, and why things on there like bloody Microceratus and flipping Maiasaura, and why certain animals in that list were there, but other better ones were gone. We were not all entirely happy about it. And I do remember at the time we learnt this, there was a bit of a cynical criticism as well from people such as myself, that are they going to start selling us back cut dinosaurs for money? Because at this point we had already seen the pre-order, the deluxe edition dinosaurs, so we already know that they were reselling 2 of them back to us anyway. There was a bit of cynicism in the community. I agree, Tyrannical Lizard. I think that is primarily the reason. So, we saw the roster and we were all a bit unhappy with it. And that's why I think several things then happened as a result. One of those things that happened as a result being... Oh, I don't have... Oh, I didn't go and get a picture of it. Oh, that was silly of me. Well, one of those things being the Dinosaurs being given to all of us for free with the Wetland DLC, which I don't think was ever going to happen. I really do feel that was entirely done to placate the fan base a bit. The Dinosaurs release, I think, was placation. But there was a much more important result. And that's the free species announcement. Now, there are actually 2 different versions of this announcement. Here is the first one. This was the first announcement. This is October 21st, where they state, following the launch of JWE3 on October 21st, we will continue to reintroduce Jurassic World Evolution 2 base game species as complete family units, as our teams work to add these classic dinosaurs with dimorphism and juveniles. We won't charge for these species, and the first will be Kentro. Now, notice how there is no word about a timescale here. This is October 21st. We don't get mention of a timescale until, from what I can find, and this is going backwards on Steam, by the way. We don't actually get reference to a timescale until November the 6th, so a good few weeks after that initial statement, where they then said, "We are excited to announce that we will be introducing one base game species as complete family units from Jurassic World Evolution 2 every month, starting from January 2026. We won't charge you for these species." So, something happened, I think, between October 21st and November 6th. Because it feels strange to me they wouldn't mention doing it every month in the first mentioning that they were doing it at all. Something happened, I feel. Or the promise was made because of something. I feel there's a reason why the promise was put in there and not put in there to start with. But they have stated this. This is from the Steam chat. They can go away and change the wording now. They can delete that post if they wish. It happened. November 6th. Now, after this, everything looked pretty good. We got the Amargasaurus, we got the Majungasaurus, Cryolophosaurus came back. Everything was great. They were communicating, their socials were active, etc., etc. Then we get to April. Complete radio silence across the entirety of the Jurassic brand. And it led to, I think it's fair to say, a bit of nervousness, perhaps. I'm just going to use Evo's lovely video thumbnail here about the radio silence that we all suddenly encountered. Everything went quiet for quite a while, and we were all a bit surprised. And then, just as it seemed that there might have been a problem, we were suddenly all a little uplifted when, out of nowhere, April the 23rd, their Facebook starts posting again with a picture of an Ankylosaurus. And we were all like, oh, maybe this is a clue. Maybe your Waplocephalus is the animal that is coming. Lord Bumblebee, thank you for mentioning those particular people. I will be talking in a minute about particular groups of people that have reacted in this to different ways, and just sort of giving my thoughts on that. But we thought they were all active, and then they went silent again until the 20... they went silent completely again until yesterday, where I think it's fair to say that the proverbial hit the fan. Yesterday rolls around, last day of the month, and, even more important for us here in the United Kingdom, Frontier is a United Kingdom company, this weekend is our May Day bank holiday, which means it's a long weekend. Pretty much everywhere in the United Kingdom is shut until Tuesday. And they stayed totally silent until 15 minutes before everyone in the country leaves for the long bank holiday. And they come out with a frankly quite pithy, almost Bethesda level response to what was obvious growing frustration on their Discord, which I shall read. I shall read it out. Greetings, park managers. The Jurassic World Evolution 3 development team are excited for future content and updates. Whilst we unfortunately must confirm that there will be no free returning species this month, keep an eye on our social channels for more updates soon. As Berenson says, soon, a word that has lost entire meaning for Bethesda. Notice here as well, in this pithy response, he didn't apologize. He didn't say, I'm sorry, but unfortunately there will be no free returning species. Just Unfortunately, we will confirm 15 minutes before the end of the day, on the last day of the month, there is nothing coming. This reminds me of when Bethesda were being dragged over the coals for the... I don't know if you remember, Fallout 76 released one of the special gifts people were supposed to get were these nice canvas bags, and they all showed up and they were made out of nylon. And when people were asking, where is the canvas bag, Bethesda responded with, the canvas bag was too expensive to make, we aren't intending to do anything about it. This is that sort of level of, I'm not going to say arrogance, but what I am going to say is not understanding your community's feeling at this current time. Now, this Discord response, it is quite a pathetic response, I do agree, Bumblebee. This Discord response, rather naturally, resulted in quite a lot of pithy responses from the fan base back. Because for the whole day, the fan base has been gnashing their teeth and winding each other up in the Reddit and in the socials. So when they responded with this, naturally the fan base reacted badly. And then, after muting and timeouting a bunch of people for, I would say, relatively fair frustration and nothing excessive, but after timeouting people who were criticizing the company, they then posted another Discord message in an attempt to try to soften the blow, which read, where is it? This one here. Thanks so much for sharing your comments with us. Comments is one word of putting it. We wanted to make sure you know that we're listening. The standard video game company response when they suddenly realize the community's annoyed with them. And Jurassic World Evolution 3 remains an important game for us. We'll update you as soon, there we go, soon, again, as we can. And naturally, that did nothing at all to relax the fanbase response. And that is where we were at the end of yesterday. That is the crime scene clarified. In my opinion, starting with Planet Coaster 2's response, ending with that pithy Discord response. Only Discord, by the way. They haven't said anything on their Facebook or any other social. It's only on their Discord that they've actually said anything at all, which is even worse. That is where we ended up. So, before I get into my discussion in regards to the response by the fandom, I'm going to give my TLDR of this, okay? Just in case anyone disappears. My TLDR of this. This, to me, is Frontier's Titanic or Frontier's Fallout 76. They should have done better, and they could have done better, and instead they have sort of sleepwalked into this situation of their own making, caused by themselves, and instead of responding to it in a way that shows a degree of respect for the player base, they've instead responded in a pithy Discord statement, and neither of the Discord statements really apologize for what they've done. And what they have done is break their word. They made an obligation. We will release a new species every month from January 2026. Not, we will try to release a new species every month. It says, we will be introducing one base game species as complete family units. They set up the obligation. If they can't do the obligation, they should have said something sooner. They didn't. The anger and vitriol and the response the community is giving them is entirely down to their sleepwalking into this disaster. And it's really kind of sad because Planet Coaster 2 demonstrated how you do respond to a situation like this. I agree, Lord Bumblebee. I agree with what you say there. However, now I want to talk and directly respond. I want to talk about some specific groups of people. I'm going to actually get rid of all of this now that we've gone through this. Actually, I'll leave it up, but I'm going to shrink in size. I want to refer now to a few different groups of people and how they're reacting about the situation, because I want to be fair and I want to, not leave anybody out. I want to be fair about this whole situation, because I think the way that the fan base has reacted has also been pretty bad. And I'm going to respond to a few different communities of people out there. Whoops. Sorry, I'm just moving stuff about. I'm going to respond to a few different groups of people out there, and if they're listening, they'll know who they are. If they're not listening, it's here for prosperity, okay? So, the first group of people I want to directly talk about are, when I get the picture up, these particular people. Oh my god, the game is dead, people. The game is trashed, it's abandonware, Frontier have run away from their responsibility, they need to give people refunds, the game is dead. To those sorts of people, I would say, don't be silly. The game isn't dead. Just because a game doesn't get active development doesn't make the game dead. A game is only truly dead. Hello, Basti. A game is only truly dead when no one is talking about it, when there's no community for it, when no one is playing it. If there's a community for it, if there are people making mods for it, if there are people using the workshop, the game isn't dead. Don't overreact. There's no need to panic and make this grandiose statement. This stems primarily from modern gaming and this sort of update every single month sort of culture. Probably correct there, Tyrannical Lizard. But this comes from everyone being online and every game being online. I come from a different time, when you were lucky if bugs got patched post-release. Usually you just had to put up with it. So, chill, folks. The game isn't dead. It's just going through a rough patch, okay? The second group of people I want to talk about are the group of people that have taken that, oh my god, the game is dead, Frontier needs to give us all refunds, to the next step. We're going to spend our time shouting and yelling on the Discord. We're going to threaten the developers. We're going to be hostile. We're going to be angry, sweary folks, calling people names, insulting people directly. We're going to be spitting fury and fire, being offensive, starting arguments and fights, and just on the Discord, and generally being nasty individuals. To these people, I would say, touch some bloody grass. Right now in the world, there is a rogue nation committing genocide, a rogue nation leader committing war crimes. A war in Europe, a global cost of living crisis, the planet is in serious climate emergency, amongst a huge bunch of other problems. And here you are, hyper-reacting to a lack of news and information by basically being hostile to the developers, yelling at the developers, threatening the developers, who, as Tyrannical Lizard quite state, are actually only people trying to do a job, and really most of these sorts of problems come from higher up than the average developer. This sort of response isn't going to help the situation. It makes the fanbase look bad, it makes the developers not like the fanbase, it makes them less likely to respond to us and talk to us, because who would want to? And to be honest, I wish people got that level of angry over the really important stuff. I wish people got that angry over the genocide of the Palestinians. I wish people got that angry over this illegal war that Trump has started with Iran. I wish people got that angry about protecting the planet, because they're things you should get that level of angry about. A video game is not the sort of thing you need to get this level of angry about, and certainly not at the developers, because it's not their fault. This is upper level management fault. So again, just like the oh my god, the game is dead folks, take a chill pill and don't be hostile. You can be frustrated and angry, but do it effectively. Do it in a way that actually benefits rather than drags down, like I am doing here. I'm not very happy, but I'm not going around calling Frontier a bunch of lazy assholes. I'm trying to have a conversation about it. The next group of folks I want to talk about are the folks that are on entirely the other end of the spectrum. And I'm going to name and shame a few people, because I wrote a post on Reddit about this, and I got some interesting responses. The people that want to say, if you're upset about what Frontier has done, you're a whiner, you're throwing a tantrum, you're a child, you're not allowed to be angry at Frontier. It's a video game. You're not allowed to be frustrated with the fact that they've broken their word. It's a video game company. And if you're angry, then I'm going to be hostile at you because you're upset about it. You guys, you two especially, that I'm highlighting here, are exactly as bad as the people who are overreacting. People have a right to be frustrated when someone, a company in this case, breaks their word, and they have broken their word. We're not angry over not having a dinosaur. We're angry over them breaking their word. And frankly, everyone has a right to hold a company responsible for breaking their word. If you brought a product and discovered that the product was advertised with misleading statements or wasn't what it was supposed to be, then you would also be angry. So saying to people that are angry, you have no right to be angry, that is equally as bad as the people who are saying, we're angry and we're going to send death threats at the developers. That's just as bad, in my opinion. Two opposite ends of the spectrum, but it reinforces terrible communication with the fanbase. It also puts us all against each other when we should be all pulling together as one to actually result in a change, like the Planet Coaster 2 fandom achieved. Instead, we're fighting amongst ourselves, which is also bad for the fandom. And this one really bugged me yesterday. So I'm making a special case example of this guy. This particular individual who then left another post saying, doesn't matter because it's free and as such it's a gift and not owed to you. You, sir, are an arsehole. You make this post totally ignoring the truth of the situation. The free dinosaur isn't a gift. It's an obligation promised by what Frontier themselves said in their own words. So perhaps fact check your response before you make it, and don't act like Donald Trump, sporting incorrect information like an ass. The fact that it's free doesn't mean that it's a gift. It was free because that's what they promised when they made the statement, that they weren't going to charge for it. They're not doing it for free out of the goodness of their hearts. They're doing it because they've told us it's going to be free. Next group of people to talk about that are kind of related to that are the hyper defenders. The Frontier isn't at fault here. It's actually your Universal's fault. Frontier haven't done anything wrong. It's not their fault they haven't spoken to us. It's not their fault they've broken their word to us. It's Universal's fault. And to those sorts of people, I say, why do you want to be in this abusive relationship? Stop using Universal as a get out of jail free card for Frontier. It's been that way ever since I started criticizing Jurassic World Evolution 1. Oh, it's not Frontier's fault that the game had little content. It's Universal's fault. When Evolution 2 came out, oh, it's not Frontier's fault the game was released full of bugs. It's Universal's fault. Maybe Universal are to blame partly for this situation. Maybe they do have a hand in this situation. But stop giving Frontier a get out of jail free card. The person who wrote that Discord response wrote it himself. He chose the wording that was used. The post that was put on Steam saying, we will give you this dinosaur for free every month, that was written by Frontier. Hold Frontier to account for what they have done and stop giving Universal the devil horns here. Both sides of this are to blame. It is copium, Guillermo. I think it is copium from people who either don't want to criticize Frontier or want to defend Frontier. I understand wanting to defend a video game company or anyone you might like. I understand defending someone. But how much longer are you going to pull out that card every time there's a criticism? Like I say, I got this, oh, it's Universal's fault card thrown at me all the way back in Evolution 1. At some point, that card no longer works. At some point, you have to say, well, Frontier, you need to buck your ideas up, okay? These sorts of people that are not willing to blame Frontier are also just as bad as the people going around saying the game is dead, just as bad as the people sending death threats, just as bad as the ones that are angry at people being angry, because it is, again, splitting the fan base. They're not as bad as the people sending the death threats, but, you know, the death threat people are the worst, but generally speaking, it's still splitting the fan base, and instead of pulling together as one fan base to result in a change, it's splitting it up again. It's copium. And obviously, there is one last group of people that needs to be mentioned here. And that is, of course, Frontier themselves. Now, I don't know if they'll ever hear this. I don't know if they're, whatever. But I'm going to give my thoughts here. This is what I would say to Frontier if I was there. This whole debacle is entirely your fault. Not angry at you, Frontier, but I'm disappointed because you have demonstrated that you've learned absolutely nothing from what happened with Planet Coaster 2's launch. You keep making the same old mistakes time and time again. There were so many other ways of sorting this situation out that could have been better. And in fact, you could have created hype for the eventual news if you had played your cards right and used this as an opportunity rather than hiding. Instead, you created a situation that's resulted in a complete drop of goodwill that you created by giving us the free animal announcement in the first place. You created so much goodwill with that, and now you have thrown it away because of your own stupidity. You yourself are the people that gave us the expectations. You broke the expectations. So you only have yourselves to blame, Frontier, for how we are all reacting. And what's worse to me is this is just another in a very long line of times where Frontier tell us one thing and consistently fail to deliver. It began, and I think people have forgotten about this, so let me refresh everyone's memory. It began all the way back in Jurassic World Evolution 1, where you, Frontier, used a trailer for Evolution 1 that showed off dinosaur behavior that was not in the game. If people forget, the Evolution 1 announcement trailer showed off dinosaurs laying down to rest, dinosaurs sleeping, and socializing, and those behaviors were not in the game when it launched. It was misrepresentation of the product. Then, in Evolution 2, you made grandiose claims about animals having social animations, but failed to honestly tell us that actually lagoon animals and pterosaurs didn't have them. You claimed it would have an original and compelling narrative, but it didn't. It had a glorified tutorial. And then with Evolution 3, you showed off modular building. And you knew people were going to buy the game just for the modular building, because people understood your modular building from Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo. We all believed that the modular building would work in exactly the same way as Planet Zoo. But it didn't, because you, Frontier, failed to tell us that actually it's a whole new system and that there are some limitations there, so it's not exactly like the modular building in your other games. But you didn't tell anybody that, because you knew that people would buy this for the modular building, and you kept that hidden until we all learned later down the line the modular building doesn't work the same way. The dinosaurs can't climb over any of it. The people can't use any of it. You didn't tell us that, Frontier. Now, I'm not going to straight up accuse them of misrepresentation or false advertising, but I do think it's a bit gaslighting the customers, And that is what we are. We are customers, first and foremost. And I think it's worth highlighting that actually this situation we're experiencing with Evolution 3 is actually the latest in a very long line of misrepresentations, poor communication, failed obligations that actually Frontier has consistently done with the Evolution games from the start. And that is the real problem here, because this is just another example of this. And what makes me ponder is, from here, where do we go? Because for once, and this is unusual for me, I'm on the right side of the debate. For the first time ever, for the Evolution games, I am on the right side of the debate. And yet I find myself feeling cynical that this would change anything. Because frankly, the Evolution community has shown time and time again that they're not willing to hold Frontier to account if their favourite dinosaur shows up. Sure, everyone is angry right now. But when the next DLC comes out and everyone goes, "Oh my god, the D-Rex!" or "Yay, Carcharodontosaurus!" or "Yay, Liopleurodon is back," when all the dinosaur hype or DLC hype or rebirth hype or hybrid hype comes back, are they still going to be angry that Frontier broke their word? Or are they just going to completely forget? Because if they completely forget, nothing will change. And we will be exactly here again, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, whenever it happens. It will happen again, and we will be right back where we started, going, Frontier promised they would be better with communication, but they have failed. Who could have foreseen such a thing? And I will go, well, back in April 2026, they showed that they were going to do that, just like they had shown it so many other times before, and no one held them to account. Because you all forgot about it when it became convenient to forget about it because of your Beluga Rex. The only way anything will change is for us to do what Planet Coaster 2's folks did. Don't let this go quietly into the night. Don't let it be forgotten. Talk about this. Talk about it on their socials. Talk about it on their Facebook, on their Twitter, on their Discord. Don't be rude. Don't insult them, but talk about it. Discuss it. Mention it. Keep it in the discourse. Don't let them forget what happened. Because if we do that, if we all pull together as a community and go to Frontier and say, look, this is the last straw, we've had enough, we want you to start actually doing something, like giving us a roadmap like you did for Planet Coaster 2, give them suggestions. Don't just go, we don't like you because you've betrayed us. Actually give them a suggestion. We're angry with you, but if you provide us with a roadmap so we can actually see what's coming and what's going on, that's better than nothing at all. Maybe then we can actually stimulate some change. And part of this is also on the shoulders of YouTubers. I think the way Evo actually handled this yesterday was actually very good. Because she has, she has a different relationship to Frontier than I do, or lots of other people do. And she ended her video with an open letter that was clear, a well-constructed response, suggested improvements, highlighted the problem. That sort of thing is what YouTubers should be doing. If they're going to use Evolution 3 for their content, Planet Zoo players and Planet Coaster players who jumped on the bandwagon with Evolution 3 without going through the pain of the other games. If you're going to use the game to benefit your channel, you also have a responsibility to help the game improve, in my opinion. And you can help the game improve by talking about the fact the Frontier have broken their word to everyone and disappointed us just as badly as they did with Planet Coaster 2. And in my opinion, it's very important that YouTubers, no matter how big or small they are, try, and this is why I'm doing this today, to put the point across. Because it isn't good enough. It just isn't good enough. So, that's my view. That's everything I wanted to say. Now I'm going to shut up for a bit and let you guys speak. So, let's start with a general question here. Do we have a right to be angry? Let's start with that question, okay? Do we have a right to be angry? To an extent, says Chad. Tyrannical Lizard says yes. Jed Wolf says yes and no. Dread Wolf, I'm curious. Why do you say yes and no? Oh, well, okay. Let me redefine then. Angry as in frustrated, not angry as in we're going to send death threats to developers, okay? Let's stick to, do we have a right to be frustrated with what's happened? Or are we making a mountain out of a molehill, actually? I mean, that is a good point, and feel free to give me your honest opinion. Are we making a mountain out of a molehill? It's 1 month where they have failed to communicate, and they've missed a free dinosaur for 1 month. Is it that important? You know? Not expressing our frustration will prevent the game from improving. I think that is a fair point, Wallace. Nothing ever gets better unless you criticize it. I mean, for the people that used to say, "Oh, you're too harsh about the Evolution games. You criticize them too much." My perspective has always been, well, they won't get any better if you don't criticize them. If you just accept slop, you will get slop fed to you. I am not sure it's that important. Not like Frontier being a bunch of lying liars who lie is a new thing. Well, they certainly have a problem with communication. I'm not sure I'm going to call them liars. I think they occasionally misrepresent what the truth of the situation is for the benefit of sales, and every video game company does that, let's be fair. Elemental Curse, it's still just a game, it's hard for me to see it as anything else. That again, Elemental Curse, that's a very fair position to take. My response to that would be, that's why the video game industry and the video game atmosphere is so toxic. That's why games are full of loot boxes and gambling mechanics. It's why games are getting more and more expensive. It's why games are launched unfinished and full of bugs. And we have all these stupid Day 1 editions and Game of the Year editions and Master editions, and why it's become more and more impossible to just buy a simple video game. It's because too many people are willing to say it's just a game and not hold companies to account. That would be my response. Your response is perfectly valid, but I do think it's part of the problem. Yes, Basti, I was just talking to my housemate about Arrowhead and Helldivers 2, as it happens. They've revealed they don't have a balancing team, basically, which surprised me the hell up. As long as we are respectful, we have the right to criticize. We brought the product, and some people wouldn't have brought it if Frontier had not promised the species would return. That's a good point, Wallace. And Evo said that she seems to think that people brought the game because of that promise. Now, there's no real way of knowing that. I don't think there's any way we could prove that. Let me just have a look at Steam charts, because that's usually where I go to for things like player base. So the announcement was made. Oh dear. Oof. I think I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to show this. Oof. Right. So this is Steam charts is number count. So this is Evolution 3. So there's the launch, the peak players, the average players. There was quite a drop in November. Then another considerable drop, then another drop. If we look at the averages, so to put this into some perspective, 1,500 was about Jurassic World Evolution 2's average in the last year that it was in development. So Evolution 3 is already at the same place Evolution 2 was pretty much at the same point in time. The game isn't doing any better or worse. The peak player counts are a bit more healthy. I would say, interestingly, the Wetland DLC didn't cause a massive uplift, which is a surprise. But yeah, we can't prove whether the announcement that dinosaurs would come back for free led to people buying the game. We just don't know that. But if they did, then again, it makes that statement more important. Sorry, have I missed something? Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on the chat here. I was considering buying the game once the old species returned. Haven't yet though, since they're not back and all. Don't see a point campaigning it unfinished. That's a good point, Archaeopteryx. You know, people do view the games unfinished until those species come back. Fletcher, when they said they'd bring those species back, even I reconsidered, so there is weight to it. Okay, Dreadwolf. So, yeah, obviously, it probably had some effect. It's very difficult to know what effect that might have had. So, the statement the Frontier made I think we are in... Sorry, I'm just moving stuff around. I think we're in acceptance that they should stick to this. But what I don't get is that, obviously, they had that other statement first. Which I actually think is... I actually think it's a better statement. this one, where they didn't give a time frame. Because you never know what might happen in the future with your company. You never know, things might crop up. So not having a time period, you know, not saying it will be, you know, every X number of months or every X number of weeks. The first statement is just a better statement because it means if something goes wrong in the future, you're not going to, you know, bugger yourself. And then they made this second statement where they kind of set themselves up to failure, didn't they? I believe I remember when they announced this, I believe there was a lot of Reddit posts from people going, how long do you think it will be before they fail to do this? And, well, 3 months. That's how long it's taken, 3 months, and they have they've gone back on this. So yeah, I do feel that they've kind of been a bit foolish. And I would love to know why they put that arbitrary time limit in there. Because that's such a strange thing for them to do. Do you think they were scared, maybe? Do you think the way that we responded to the player base, do you think they kind of put that every single month from January 2026 in there as a kind of a plaster to stick on the fact that we all went ugh at the roster? A man is only as good as their word. It seems they're not committed to what they're saying, and that should be the end of it. Well, yeah, Dreadwolf. I mean, in a court of law, that is what the situation is. Oof, this discussion just made me stress a bit, honestly, regarding my own video on this. I'm not used to making constructive criticisms like you. Fletcher, is it possible if you could give me some feedback? The way I tackle stuff like this, Untamable King, is I always try to be as fair and balanced as possible. That's why I spent the first half hour going, here's all the evidence, this is what was said, this is exactly the timeline of events, this is where I think people are taking it too far, this is where I think people are not taking it far enough, and then give your honest opinion. There is nothing wrong with being critical and being honest in your opinion. I think Jurassic World Evolution 2 was a bad product, missold and misrepresented by Richard Newbold, especially. I definitely think he is partly responsible for that. And I think the game improved, but it was unacceptable. It was still full of bugs at the end of its development. That's very critical, but I think it's fair. Criticism is perfectly acceptable in my opinion, if it's fair. I don't prescribe to this, oh, you have to give a positive and a negative. Bollocks to that. Give the truth. If the truth is, it's negative, that's the truth. Don't try to dream up a positive to try to soothe the negative. Just give the truth. And if the truth is it's bad, then that's the truth. And no one's going to change that. I would have preferred having all the species back, then getting the babies. They are an undercooked feature whose only point is to look cute so players find the game more appealing. I mean, that's a very good point, Wallace. I think I made a video actually on why I think the babies are a failure as a game mechanic. I think drip feeding the species one a month is a bad way of doing it. I think 2 or 3 species every couple of months as a pack, like as a free animal pack with a theme. You know, they've cut all those dinosaurs, but all those cut dinosaurs, you can kind of put them into groupings. You know, the sauropods that have been cut, the ankylosaurs that have been cut, the herbivores that have been cut, the carnivores that have been cut. Separate them into groupings. Work on a grouping to release at around the same time you release a paid DLC. So the people who don't buy the paid DLC, they get something for free. That, I think, is a better solution than one a month. Because if you promise one a month and then something terrible happens, like Universal interfere, and that screws up you launching one a month, then you get this situation that happens. So I think that there is an element of it. Hello, Rob. The truth wouldn't sell. Ah, well. The fact they only said free base animals feels very weird, because most of the species from the game of Evolution 2 were in the DLC. Yeah, that is true. And like I said before, I don't think we were ever going to get Dinocaris for free. I really don't think that was going to happen. I still, to this date, and I will believe this until someone from Frontier tells me otherwise, I think Dinocaris was supposed to be in the Wetlands DLC and was going to be sold back to us. It's the perfect dinosaur to have been in that DLC. Much more fitting than Hipsy Bloody Lophodon. Probably a bit more fitting than the Austroraptor, if I'm honest. But the Hipsy, yeah. Dinocaris, I think, or maybe even it was going to be a four animal pack, and Dinocaris was going to be the fourth animal. And then they said, oh, maybe this isn't a good idea, and they gave us all Dinocaris for free. That is what I think happened. I don't think it was ever the plan. And yes, as Wallace stated, I think yesterday, while all this was going on, Prehistoric Kingdom revealed their prototype sauropod combat animation on, I think it's an Argentinosaurus in the video. I only glanced at it earlier today, but one of the big sauropods. And it's a combat animation. And it looks the way you would expect it to. And that right there is just... They are a really small team on a really limited budget. And, well, their modular building system, the guests walk on the bridges and the dinosaurs walk on the stuff. Frontier. An indie game is doing your thing better than you have done yourself. Bit embarrassing, no? Have a bit of dignity. Oh look, there's a Chronosaurus. But appearing from behind the Reddit post. Hello, Gairu. Did you miss anything? Spent the first hour going over the fan base response to what happened yesterday and the sort of how we got here, the timeline of how we got here. TLDR, I think this all started with Planet Coaster 2's launch. I don't think it started with the post. It started way back. I am a history teacher. We like saying an event as far back as humanly possible is responsible for something. You know, that's our job. You know, it's almost a game us historians play. Is like, how far back can you point to a cause of an event that happened really far over here? And again, yes, Dreadwolf makes a very good point. This is the third game. And pterosaurs still are limited in animation. Hello, Megalodon. I still haven't seen most of the baby animations in the game because they don't play them enough. The adult animals still mostly have either copy-pasted social animations or the same social animations as they had before. The dinosaurs still don't react and respond to the environment. They have very, very simplified mechanics. In fact, the video I'm working on in the editing suite is a video highlighting where 2 Point Museum, which... So here's a crazy thing. While all this was going on yesterday, 2 Point Museum turned round and did this, which is what they do for all of their DLC, okay? When they do a new DLC, they give everybody a free demo of it. You don't even have to buy the DLC to start using the DLC. They give you all a demo. How long has it been? I bet there are some of you under the age of 20. I bet there are some people who have never, ever played a demo before. I remember the crazy days of demo discs, where you'd buy a copy of PC Gamer magazine, and you'd get a disc with like 30 demos of video games on. How crazy was that? And 2 Point Museum is doing demos for DLC, and everybody keeps this. It doesn't go away. Everyone keeps the demo. So if you can either buy the DLC, or you can just use the demo stuff for a bit. And that is what they did yesterday. And they were also up for a Video Game of the Year award for management and sim games next to Evolution 3. This is why I think 2 Point Museum should have been Game of the Year, or is at least more deserving than Evolution 3. And actually, the video that I'm working on is all about where 2 Point Museum demonstrates much better understanding than Evolution 3 in certain areas. Demos are pretty common on Steam with small games, but pretty large games, you do not see demos anymore. The 2 Point devs are legendary. Yeah. In fact, I mean, here's another example. Dinosaurs phasing through fences. This was a problem Jurassic World Evolution 2 had from launch, and it still had at the end of its development cycle. And Jurassic World Evolution 3 also has this problem. I have experienced animals phasing through the fences and escaping. So a bug that has been present for years still hasn't been fixed. 2 Point Museum, a few months ago, there was a not particularly serious bug. Someone reported it on Facebook. It was fixed the same day. Bug report on Facebook. They looked at it. The problem was fixed immediately. Meanwhile, us in the evolution community, we still have dinosaurs escaping our enclosures through solid fences. We still have dinosaurs getting stuck. We still have guest baitballing. And it's the third game. And I suppose this is what makes this whole situation even more annoying, because It's just it's the latest, like I said earlier, it's the latest in a long list of disappointments. And there's only so many disappointments that you can have. You know? I would rather wait another 2 months for a new animal and finally get flying reptiles that respect collision. Exactly, Basti. Collision deserves to be respected. Electrostatic repulsion deserves to be respected. The physicists will get that joke. If you don't understand that joke, whenever you touch something, you're never actually touching something, because the atoms, the electrons around the atoms of the thing you're trying to touch, they reject, like a magnet trying to stick the two norths of a magnet against each other, they repel each other. So when you go to touch an object, your fingers are actually technically repelling the electrons in the object. So you're never ever actually technically touching an object. It's a cool piece of physics trivia for you. Yeah, lagoons and aviaries have been underdeveloped ever since Evolution 2. In fact, like one of the videos I wanted to make for Evolution 3 was literally going to be titled 5 improvements for lagoons again, because it's more or less the same. Like, I feel like I should just re-upload the video I made for Evolution 2 and just be like, so basically everything I say here still applies. Like, everything still applies. Yeah, the game, I haven't experienced game crashes, but there are really annoying things it'll do. It will lock up from time to time. Various buttons in modular building break. Sometimes the there are certain controls within the modular building system that actually break entirely, sometimes for me, for no reason whatsoever, and I have to restart the game. We live in the Matrix. I don't think we'll get Archelon and Nothosaurus for a while. I don't think we will. I don't think for free either. I think we'll have to pay for them. And I also suspect that they will be exactly the same as what they are in Evolution 2. I don't see them changing them to work with deep, placeable water. Not that I think they should. I think they should remain lagoon species, but I don't see them getting any noticeable, meaningful changes. I'm sure that it will definitely improve in the future. Yes, so that is a fair point, and I think let's not overlook what Rob has said. Obviously, the game isn't dead. It will change in the future. But we are not that long after launch. What's it been? 6 months? And one of the very... well, 2, if you count the we will communicate better. 2 of the very basic things they promised they would do, they haven't done. I also miss the Alamo. The Patco Titan is no replacement for Alamo, personally. It's been 3 games and dinosaurs still ragdoll. The ragdolling is occasionally funny, but yeah, I agree with you there on Tameball King. And you know, it is strange to me. By the way, since we're about halfway through the stream, don't forget to like the stream, subscribe if you're new to the channel. You know, all the usual YouTuber stuff. You know I don't like begging people for it, but channel growth has been stagnant, so I'm going to be pushing more to people to subscribe and to like the videos, because it helps the algorithm. You've heard all this before from other YouTubers. do the stuff. You know. I'm curious how will Evolution 3 handle the release of Planet Zoo 2 and Prehistoric Kingdom in a hypothetical cage match between these others. Evolution 3 is not winning. I am also very curious to see what happens to these relatively, let's just be honest, relatively poor figures. I'm curious to see what happens when when Planet Zoo 2 launches. Although, let me just, I think this is very telling, and I think it's worth seeing. Let me just go and get something quickly. Wow. Okay, so we need to get, what, 6 months from launch? So we need to go from about there to... that's about the same. That's about the same period of time. And then let's look at, so from here to... Okay, so let me show you guys this, because this might be fun. So on the top, obviously on the top of the screen, we have Evolution 3 for its release date. Underneath, so this is Evolution 2, okay? So what you can see, more or less, is relatively similar starts, and then you get a fair amount of drop-off. Now, to be fair, Evolution 3 has had a slower drop-off than Evolution 2. Evolution 2 hemorrhaged more than half its player base. Well, it went down to nearly a third of its player base in a month. Evolution 3 has stayed pretty strong, but then by December, it's down to a quarter. And by April 4050, April 2980. So by the same point in time, Evolution 2 had a stronger player base. And it had a stronger player base in the March after its release. And it had almost the same player base in the February, but it had a stronger player base in the January, and had a stronger player base in the December. To be fair, these numbers don't mean that it lost players. True, it doesn't mean that it lost players. But I think it's interesting to see that the games have been the same. Like, they added modular building and babies to appeal to a new audience. And that is the truth. The modular building was there to make money from the Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster players. That is the truth. I don't think they put that in there because they thought it was going to benefit the game. They put it in there to get the Planet Zoo players buying and playing Evolution 3. And I think we can highlight here that the player base is basically the same as it always was. But what's even funnier, this is Evolution 2's numbers for the same period of time. They aren't that far off, are they? They're about half. More or less about half the numbers. March 2026, 716 average players. March 2026, 1,500 average players. The previous game is capable of dragging in about half the player base of the newest game. And the newest game is only a few months old. That says a lot, I think. I think that says a lot. I think a lot of this is down to system requirements and complexity. But I think it's interesting, nonetheless. You know, you can't lie with the numbers. Frontier made false promises to us and failed to comply. Yeah, I mean that's the dastardly truth of the matter, isn't it? They made an obligation, they failed to stick with the obligation, and now we wait to see what happens here from here on in. So maybe that's the next question. As I said earlier, but for new people coming back, the United Kingdom is basically shut down for the next few days. Bank holiday, May Day weekend. Pretty much everywhere is shut from tomorrow to Monday. Only things like pubs and supermarkets will be open, pretty much. It's a bank holiday weekend. So, the earliest we will hear from Frontier is on Tuesday. So, hypothetically, let's say on Tuesday, the very first thing they do is make a announcement. Oh, so Chad, what? So part of this new 2 Point Museum DLC, it's all about art and artistry. So the staff of your museum can paint their own pictures, and you can display them in your museum. I think that's what that is referring to. Anyway, so like I said, let's actually remove that one so people aren't confused. Actually, no, I'm leaving it there because it's in 2 Point Museum. If you haven't played it, go and buy it. It's a great game. It's half the price of Evolution 3 for about twice the content, with a much better studio that listens and respects its player base. Go buy it. So, Tuesday comes around. First thing on Tuesday that Frontier does is, on Discord, on Facebook, on all their socials, is they make a statement. What would you want Frontier to say on Tuesday that would make what has happened better? What is like the bare minimum you want from Frontier? A sorry is a very good start, Chad. A sorry is a good start. I think apologizing for missing the deadline on the new species, I think, would go a long way. Oh, you said better, not funnier. Explain what happened. They might not be able to, because again, part of the problem, as Rob suggested, might be Universal, and they can't compromise their contract with Universal. That being said, if this is Frontier, if all of this is Universal's fault, and I was Frontier, and Universal has said to me, you can't post anything for a month because we said so. You can't, you're going to miss your obligation, but that's, that we don't care. As a company, I would question whether I want to work with them. The Jurassic brand is strong, yes, But I think Frontier, if they hypothetically released a planet prehistoric, I don't think they would do any worse in terms of sales than if it was a Jurassic game. Evolution 1 is the only game that sold on launch day, Jurassic World Evolution 1 had 150,000 players. Evolution 2 and Evolution 3 have been nowhere near that. So only Evolution 1 seems to have, the Jurassic hype, the brand hype, seemed to properly grab it. So at this point, if I was Frontier and all this is Universal's fault, and I'm sitting there at Frontier as Frontier CEO, and I'm seeing people like me, people like Evo, the Reddit posts, because they look at the Reddit. They do look at the Reddit. Their Facebook, the Ankylosaurus picture on Facebook that they posted, there are tons of messages from people. If I saw all of this, I would be seriously questioning whether I want the expense and the fuss of working with Universal. And maybe I want to focus on making my own IPs than working with Universal. That's what I would be thinking. The franchise is strong. Is it? Rebirth was the worst in terms of the money it made back. The franchise is on a downward trend. It has been since Jurassic World. It has been on a persistent downward trend. The quality is bad. I'm not sure I would say the franchise is strong. I think the franchise is in a sort of slow death spiral. The fact we got a confirmation not from the devs but from the executives says a lot about the current state of Frontier and their games. Well, yes, but we know that they went through a lot of, new executives were hired, people were gotten rid of. Frontier was in financial trouble for a period of time. Well, not trouble, but they weren't doing the best that they wanted to do. Man, the Jurassic franchise is on its last legs. I don't think it's on their last legs. I just think it's in a sort of slow, horrible kind of slow death. Like, if I was to... I'm trying to think of another film series that's kind of gone the same way. Probably Marvel, actually, that's kind of gone the same way. Like, they hit a high point and then they've just kind of slumped. Slowly but surely slumped. Hey, Park Managers, I know we fumble, so the next 2 DLCs will be free of charge. Oh, if only they were that bothered by the fan base being annoyed at them. I definitely think, going back to the original question I asked, they need to apologize for breaking their word. Then they need to either confirm whether they are still going to try to release a species every month, or whether actually it might take longer and they're going to not stick to that plan. Tell us one or the other, and then stick to it. Either give yourself breathing room or don't. Confirm when the next species actually will come and what it is. And confirm whether it's going to be added to what we should be getting in May, or whether we should now expect the free animal in May and it will follow on from that. That, I think, is a bare minimum we should expect. I think if Frontier was being clever, they would say, here is a roadmap with as much as we can give away on it. I think you can still have a roadmap and stick to whatever crazy requirements Universal have given you. Give us a roadmap. If Frontier was being clever LMFAO. Yeah. Look, we live in hope. But a roadmap is, I think, a bare minimum. Sorry, I was just responding to Dane because he's off his first plane. He's off to America for a couple of weeks. If a complete roadmap is not possible, we could at least know what species will come back each month. I think that would be fair. I know they want to, you know, keep it a surprise and all the rest of it, but sod it. I think it builds hype a lot better to say, well, on this month we're going to release Liproodon, and then we're going to release Carcharodontosaurus, and then Euoplocephalus, and then Polacanthus, and then Elasmosaurus, and then blah 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 blah. I think people would be hyped more if they knew what was coming up than just waiting for news. Yeah, Rob, but I think you can still create a roadmap for any game that you are developing. Yeah, you can't like give out everything probably, but you can at least give people something, some sort of roadmap is capable of being made. And again, if Universal were turning around and saying, we're not going to let you have a roadmap, then again, as Frontier CEO, I would be saying, do we really want to work with Universal? Rob, I respect your opinion, but I'm tired of people throwing the Universal card as a defense for Frontier's actions. It's been that way since Evolution 1. When is it no longer going to be the case that Universal gets the blame? Frontier has to take some responsibility here. Why was the Hammond statue even removed from Evolution 3? Yeah, that is a weird question. Why would they not have the John Hammond statue in Evolution 3? Maybe because the Jurassic World franchise is slowly but surely trying to erase Jurassic Park and the Lost World from the consciousness? That's just me being cynical again. Dr. Archaeopteryx, we respect all opinions here. We can disagree with them, but we respect everyone's opinions here. Me and Robert, we have disagreed before, but I still respect his opinion, and he is still very much a valued member of the Triclaw community, and I still like talking to him and seeing him in chat and stuff, so, you know. You can disagree with people and still respect them. They despised the trilogy because it was far better than what the slop they came up with. Yeah, Jack. Rebirth. I have been thinking a lot about Rebirth lately. And I really do think it is the worst film I've ever seen. I would put it level with Star Wars Episode 9 as one of the worst written films I've ever seen. And I'm a Star Trek fan. We are renowned. Star Trek is renowned for not having great films. Like the meme in the Star Trek community is every odd numbered Star Trek film is terrible, every even numbered Star Trek film is all right. And there's been 6, 9, 12, 13. Oh god, the worst of the lot was number 13. No wonder. So yeah, I'm used to like terrible films, but Rebirth is a whole nother level. You know, I was going to do like a proper long, full-on analysis of Rebirth and highlight why I didn't like it, and I realized that if I had done it, the video I would end up with would be about 6 hours long, based on how many words I wrote when I stopped. In fact, I wonder if I still have... Let me see if I still have the initial script I started writing. Rebirth full review. Oh, I do. Oh, hang on. Let me open this. Okay. Let's have a look here. Okay, so to put this in perspective, so what I have here is 10 pages long, 6,500 words, and the last thing I am writing about here is... It's the conversation between Zora and Kincaid when they're having that chat in the boat. That's the last thing I was writing about when I decided to stop. That was page 10. And I think that conversation is about 20 minutes into the film, give or take. Yeah, I mean, let's just see. Let me just highlight this section here. So I think I write about 1,000 words about just the first 5 minutes. I really did not like... I really don't like that film. What I was going to do through that video was I was going to keep a running tally of various elements, and I was going to give them all a better name than Jurassic World Rebirth. So there was going to be Jurassic World Recycled, for elements recycled from the other films. Jurassic World Ridiculous, for elements that show idiotic behaviour or plain dumbassery. Jurassic World Retcon, for elements that directly contradict the other films. Jurassic World References, for elements that are just references to other films. Jurassic World Pointless, for elements that add nothing to the film. And Jurassic World Redeeming, for any points that are good. And honestly, I don't know how many points Jurassic World Redeeming would have had. So yeah, after writing 10 pages and getting to that conversation, I was just like, I cannot make this a video because it would just be too much. That's why I never did a full review. I did a full review of Dominion with my buddy Nerd Guy. That was about 3 hours or so. Rebirth's video would have been like twice that length. And it just would have been too much. At some point, you've got to stop kicking the dead horse, you know. Oh, the Mutadon notes. So I don't know if people have seen it. If you haven't seen it, go back on Triclaw Gaming. I did a video of like best and worst scenes in the Jurassic films, and then I did a updated the best and worst scenes for Jurassic World Rebirth. And the Mutadons are the worst part of Rebirth for me. I think the Mutadons are terrible. I listen to video essays, I would watch it. Well, Dr. Archaeopteryx, the video essay I'm working on at the moment is my not Jurassic Park, Walking with Dinosaurs retrospective. That is, in fact, while Dane is away in America, I'm going to be focusing on trying to get as much of that written as possible, so... Yeah, exactly, Chad. Focus your time on something you love. Jurassic World retcon. Whoa! I think it's more fitting than Jurassic World Rebirth. People want to say that Cenozoic wildlife doesn't fit in. Adding kaiju or human dinosaur hybrids is just... Yeah, no please. Yeah. Rebirth is basically Universal's Walking with Dinosaurs 2025. Lord Bumblebee. I was going to say, oh, that's a bit harsh, but I don't know. I think Lord Bumblebee, you might be on for something there. Well, Chad, it's going to take a while to do because I've got to go and try. One of the problems with doing a retrospective about Walking with Dinosaurs now is a lot of the information about Walking with Dinosaurs and, how people responded to it when it first released is gone. The websites are gone, the pages are gone, newspaper articles have gone. So it's actually very hard to find some of the information. So it's going to take a while for me to write it up. And I really do want to try and find as much information out as possible. I would really love it if I could find a snippet of information, something that someone else hadn't said about Walking with Dinosaurs, whether it's about how it was developed or how it was made or anything like that. I'm kind of really trying to find the new bit. But that takes time to look for. And unlike some people whose name rhymes with curve, I like to give sources and actually have accurate, quotable sources for the information I provide. And that takes time. Good research takes time. And people like Curve don't understand that. Oh, Dinosaur with Stephen Fry. Oh. Sorry, I said that wrong. It needs to be like how Evo does it. Dinosaur with Stephen Fry. She says it in the same way that I would imagine Jeremy Clarkson saying it. Like, Dinosaur with Stephen Fry. Sort of the pause that Jeremy Clarkson puts in his words sometimes. It's exactly the same way with Dinosaur with Stephen Fry. That was a terrible documentary. One of the worst documentaries I've ever seen in my life. I fucking hated it. Oh yeah, Walking with Dinosaurs 2025 wasn't on Dinosaur with Stephen Fry level of terrible, but it wasn't great. Dinosaur with Stephen Fry is an entirely another dimension of awful. In fact, on one of my videos, I had someone write a comment on one of my videos who said that he was part of the team that made the dinosaur models, and he said that they didn't look like that when they left them. Now, obviously, this is a guy on the internet. We don't know whether it's true or anything. But if that is true... Shots fired at Curve. Exactly, Tyrannical Lizard. Shots fired at Curve. Yes, Funny you should say that, Brenton. My videos on dinosaurs, Stephen Fry, is what got us over the 1,000 mark. It was like the first proper videos on the channel that did really well. My prehistoric park retrospective did so much better than I thought it was going to be. Weirdly enough, like one of the strongest videos I've done in ages was the video comparing Evolution 2's maps to how they look in Evolution 3 returning. And that, for some reason, has gotten like 50, like stupid amount of views out of nowhere. Even Evo was surprised with that. She was like, I had no idea that was going to blow up like that. It's strange how YouTube can like give, and then basically the channel the subscriber count for this channel hasn't changed in about 6 months. You know, the algorithm giveth and the algorithm taketh away. Every time Stephen Fry mentioned Pangea, I just wanted to stab him with a newspaper in the eye. Shut up about Pangea! It's no longer relevant! Shut up about it! It's like someone at Channel 5 like learned about Pangea because they had never heard about it before and just fell in love with Pangea. And then it had to be mentioned every episode. We need to talk about Pangea. Oh man, those were good times. I did see the Surviving Earth trailer. I would like to know where it's going to come on in the UK. Because at the moment, they haven't said where it's coming to the UK on. I would also like to know whether it's going to have a specific UK narrator. Like sometimes they do with stuff for this. Oh, it's on Sky. Oh, well, that's a bugger. I'm not going to be able to watch it then. If it's being put on Sky, I don't have access to Sky. And I don't think they have a... Well, maybe they do have an on-demand service. I'm going to have to check that out. But I might not be able to watch it if it's on Sky. But yeah, I hope they have an English narrator for the English version. I know this is going to sound really wrong of me to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. American narrators for wildlife documentaries, it always just kind of comes across weird for me. Because I'm so used to, like, Sir Kenneth Branagh, and Sir David Attenborough, and even Sir David Jason for Prehistoric Park. I'm so used to English narrators for wildlife documentaries that whenever I watch one and it's like you get this American accent of some sort, it always just like it makes me not want to watch because I just don't like the voice. I know that sounds really bad, especially because, you know, Fallout is a Southern American and he's on the channel. But I guess I just have a preference when it comes to narrators, you know. Don't you have a friend who has Sky? No. Chad, the sort of UK British TV sort of thing is there's lots of different providers, and also, you know, at the Tricore House we do not have TV because we're on our computers so often, and when we're not on our computers, we aren't going to be watching traditional television, as it were. We're like we're a non-TV household essentially. My general thoughts on the trailer is, I love the fact that we've got fucking Dimetrodon. I love the fact that we're getting like Walking with Beasts. Not Walking with Beasts. Walking with Monsters. Sorry. The CGI. This is going to sound really weird, but as CGI has progressed and it's become like more and more photorealistic, I like it less. Old CGI might not be as photorealistic as it is now, but I like it more, and I don't know why. Ah, some shots are unfinished. Okay, well that makes sense. Maybe it's that then. But like, I don't know if that's the case with everyone, that like modern CGI, where it's so photorealistic, it just kind of sends you down the uncanny valley, kind of, if you know what I mean. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird though, because like Prehistoric Planet, these programs need to start having different words. Prehistoric Planet, the CGI in that is obviously incredible CGI, and I love it. I think the CGI looks great in that show. So maybe it's sort of the less expensive photorealistic CGI that doesn't look as good, or makes me, it's too noticeable to me. I don't know. It's a weird one. There were some shots in Rebirth, actually, that I thought, ooh, that doesn't look particularly good. Some of the T-Rex shots I thought were bad. There's that one shot that I always remember of, like, it's from, the girl is looking backwards towards the Rex from the boat, and it's like it's a slightly upward angle, but the Rex looks weird. Like, the Rex looks way too big in proportion for the shot, and the CG just hasn't blended to the background. There was there's that other shot in Walking with Dinosaurs 2025 with the Lucid Titan on the beach. Oh, that was poor. That looked really bad. Like, it didn't blend to the beach, it didn't create the right shadow, like, it didn't fit the back scene at all. That Lucid Titan was probably the worst. Curve saying Jurassic Park Survival will save the JP franchise. Bye-bye, Dreadrule, thank you for popping in. Jurassic Park Survival will save the franchise. What franchise? Because firstly, it's Jurassic Park, and I think more and more there is a split between Jurassic World fans and Jurassic Park fans. I think that there is obviously a crossover, but I think these days, I think it's fair to say that you're either a Jurassic Park fan or a Jurassic World fan. I think that's a very fair thing to say. So Jurassic Park Survival will be good for the Jurassic Park fan base. Won't do much for the Jurassic World fan base unless they're in that, you know, middle bit. I think it has the potential to be a really fantastic game. I love the idea of like an alien isolation in Jurassic Park. And we got the first teaser trailer for Alien Isolation 2. I am so looking forward to that, and looking forward to screaming and running away. I actually, no word of a lie, it was stressful and scary and I hated it, but I actually really enjoyed playing Alien Isolation for everyone. That sort of Halloween time early on in the channel's history, I loved playing Alien Isolation for you guys, because I probably wouldn't have played that game on my own, because it's just not a type of game I play. But, you know, the channel being able to do it with you guys and also scare the living hell out of some of you guys, I I know no word of a lie. I love playing that game for you guys. So when Alien Isolation 2 comes out, you can betcha we're gonna turn the lights off and we're gonna scare ourselves silly for the benefit of entertainment. I was going to do a bunch of like jump scare montage, but that's the sort of thing that's easier done when you've literally just made the video. Like going back and looking at them all now, it would take so long to do. But there are some great ones. I mean, the series is still up on the channel, so if anyone wants to go back and watch me die over and over again to the alien, it's there, and you can enjoy it and have it on in the background. Curve will be a whiny baby about it not helping Jurassic World, and it's not a big deal. Yeah, I have opinions on Curve, but that's a whole different point. That's a whole different thing. When I do a dinosaur film, some of the designs will be inspired by Jurassic Park, some Jurassic World, but primarily Jurassic Park, and you can't blame me considering how most of the world designs are and look. Yeah, I mean, I know everyone's kind of waiting for the next film to be announced. I kind of don't want them to make another one. I think Rebirth and the fact that it didn't even make it to 1 billion. I don't think it even made it to like 900 million. I think it was around 800 million or something like that last time I checked. Just stop making them. Like, you've squeezed Universal, you've squeezed and you've squeezed and you've squeezed, and I don't think there's any blood. I don't think there's any jam left in the donut, to use a UK metaphor. Take a break. Go on a holiday, Universal. Touch some grass. Let the franchise cool off a bit, and then come back when you have a genuine good idea. Universal is where like 99% of gamblers quit before they hit it big. Yeah, exactly. Let us all re-glaze the donut. Marconian? That sounds slightly sus. Ever so slightly sus. What is your favorite design from the Surviving Earth trailer? Like I say, I only gave it a quick glance yesterday while I was, frankly, kind of eating popcorn, watching everything go down. I will have to watch it properly to give an opinion. But, you know, Tim Haynes hasn't made a bad project. Like, Tim Haynes has not made something bad, so based on that, it's probably going to be pretty good. Tim Haynes is a legend. Edwards, feathered dinosaurs aren't scary. Me. So a bear isn't scary because it's... I would love to put Gareth Edwards alone in a room with, like, a secretary bird. Or a hawk. Or an ostrich. Or an emu. An emu! Get a proper, like, hardcore Australian emu. Lock him in a room with Gareth Edwards. And then, Mr. Edwards, you tell me that an animal with feathers isn't scary. I'd rather be trapped in a room with a lion than in a room with a cassowary or a pheasant or an ostrich or an emu or what's that bird with like the really big bright orange bill. That's like a really, really thick, big bill. And it's got that like perpetually angry headmaster look. A shoe, is it a shoe bill? I feel like we should send Gareth Edwards a shoe bill in the mail. No, that would be animal cruelty. No animal deserves to be exposed to Gareth Edwards. Anyway, I am going to turn off the music. I'm going to delete all these wonderful images here. Remove. Lovely. Oh, we'll get rid of that one. So we can see that lovely... Oh, look, we got the lovely Megalodon there and the supersized tuna flying out of the glass. I did want to remake this at some point, but, like, the lagoons, I want it to be a lagoon, because it is a bit of a copy of what Evo did. I hold my hands up to that. But, like, I wanted mine to be the lagoon and not, like, land dinosaur. And the problem is Evolution 3's lagoons, they just... they're just a pain in the ass to... Until we get better stuff to decorate them with, it's just going to be a pain in the ass to do it. So for now, it'll be Evolution 2's lovely lagoon. In any case, thank you everyone for tuning in. I was pondering whether we would have a lot of discussion today, and everyone did join to come and chat about what happened, and I'm thankful for that. So thank you everyone for coming in and chatting with me and letting me have my 2 cents, and for you guys to have your 2 cents. I think this has been some good group therapy for all of us today. Don't forget, if you haven't already, like the stream, subscribe if you're new to the channel. It all helps with the algorithm. And boy jingo, the YouTube algorithm is a unpredictable and dangerous mistress. So obviously any help you guys can achieve is good. I will be back on Sunday with Evolution 3, going back to our Jurassic Park era park on the Azores map to continue redesigning that. And yeah, I hope to see some of you folks there. Until then, I hope the rest of you enjoy the rest of your Friday evenings. Stay safe, and good night.